book came out, and I was in Chester, UK, and the guys from the My Haunted Project, which is My Haunted Hotel and My Haunted Pender Hill, they they reached out to me while I was in Chester and asked if I would come investigate and film, an episode with them. And I said, yeah, no problem. I'm right here. Let's do it. So I went. I mean, I knew nothing about the project at the time, and I fell in love with it. And it was pretty awesome the way it did it. It was very grassroots, but very well done at the same time. And they when I got back to the States, we kept in contact, and we started talking, and they were asking if we would be able to bring that same format to the States and do it the same way they're doing it over there. And I said, yeah, it could be done. It was just like I just don't know if I have the time, there's so many things involved in it. You have to find a location that's willing to let you investigate for years at a time, unless you want to go buy it. So I told him, hey, give me a couple weeks, a month or so. I'm really busy with the book stuff right now, but I'll get back to you. And I just happened to have an event at Fort Delaware, which is in my home state, our home state. And Trey had kind of been in contact with me online over a couple of years when I was on Ghost Hunters and stuff. And I went there and I met Trey for the first time, and then I met Jeff the second time I was there. Just a few weeks later, I had like a double back-to-back event at Fort Delaware, and these guys were doing amazing stuff over there. And I was like, man, this could work. I can do this. We can do this here. So I brought them in the loop, and then we hit the ground running in December of that same year, and that was October when we all got together. And by January, February, we were filming the episode, and by March of 2023, we had opened our doors, and people started coming in, and it was 2023 or 2024. 24. Sorry, 2024. We opened our doors and for the general public to come in, and it's been nonstop since, and just building and building and building. And it's kudos to these two guys, to all the people behind the scenes that people don't get to see, unfortunately, who work with us in production part of it, and just doing the day-to-day stuff, man. And that's where we're at right now. I mean, and these guys right here, Jeff is an amazing DP. Trey's an amazing producer for the show, and it just works. It really does.
Awesome. So you guys, so March of 24, you kind of open it up to the public, and you guys have already been able to produce. I know you're still in your second season and putting out episodes or whatever, but 13 episodes in season one, and that's not a year and. Well, I guess about a year and a half if you started filming in January. Right. Y'all been putting out some work then, right?
Yeah. We started filming season 2, in October, I think it was.
Yeah. It's been a wild ride.
Yeah. So you explained a little bit, but just kind of Jeff and Trey, if y'all want to jump in, just kind of explain, kind of what the concept is with all the cameras, and you guys kind of, monitoring everything, and how often you guys jump in, you guys lead investigations. Just kind of explain kind of how it works, just so people who are not familiar can get a better sense of the show.
Yeah, for sure. So it's based out of the Samuel Miller Mansion in Columbia, Pennsylvania, 200-year-old brick mansion, has a ton of history, and has a ton of activity. Luckily, we found this location, and the owners were Amy and Rowdy, so on board with the project. And basically, the project is, 24-hour surveillance of, the mansion, and bringing real people in to investigate and have an experience that's backed up by the cameras. And we're there monitoring, everything. And your experience is basically what the show is. And the history and your experience kind of leads us down different rabbit holes. And it just kind of has a life of its own. We're just trying to keep up with it.
Yeah. That's our tagline, is real people with real experiences. And, we're kind of just the presenters of it all. Right. It's people coming in and investigating, whether it's a public event or a private overnight investigation. And that we're just presenting the evidence. We hardly investigate. We do sometimes, but most of the show is people coming in there and investigating.
Mm-hmm. It's us trying to debunk, a lot of different things, different noises. We definitely want to try and put out stuff that we can be confident, saying that we can't explain this. Yeah.
I mean, we go back. So like if someone captures something really cool, we'll go back and try to debunk it and try to recreate it. And we do all that, on camera so that the general public can see what we're doing to try to. And a lot of times you do find that stuff is not paranormal, of course. There's stuff find there that it's definitely mind blowing. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I could tell you this location is insane. I don't know, it's just because we have cameras set up 24/7 and we're able to film so much and capture so much. Because like on a you're there for a week, maybe two, depending on how big it is. I mean, we've been there for going on 2 years now, and everything we're capturing in the building. And I can only imagine what we're not seeing. If we had a full team, watching the cameras 24/7, I can only imagine. But so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we have 16 cameras, and it's a lot of footage to go through for 20.
How many? 15?
Yeah.
16, yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, the whole thing is like a big science project. That's how we think of it.
Yeah.
And this long-term investigation format allows us to pick up on patterns and trends. Like 10:30 p.m., that's a trend that we found where activity seems to spike. So we're just collecting data. We're picking up on trends and kind of furthering, the paranormal world, we believe. We think this is the future, the way to do it going forward.
It's the way it should have been done the whole time, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I've always said, people always ask, well, what's the difference between a ghost hunter and a paranormal investigator? Well, a ghost hunter, and it's nothing against ghost hunting or paranormal investigating. A ghost hunter to me is someone goes out on the weekends once a month, has a good time, and that's great, and tries to get, goes to a haunted location, tries to get scared, and maybe capture something, maybe they don't. A paranormal investigator is in for the long term, the long run, where you're setting up cameras, you're trying to build timelines and trying to figure out, when certain things happen during the day or night, or are they always happening, and you try to build that. And I think that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, and you're building off of like historical research too. You're researching the locations, and you're using that, names that you find in your investigation. Just, I think that is a difference.
Well, a lot of people don't know too is we have a great historian who works with us behind the scenes, Kelsey, and we've had other historians too in the past, and they really dig into the history of the location, the town, the surrounding township, and the people who live in that area, trying to find out the truth. Because when we first came there, there's just like any location, there's the folklore, there's the hearsay, and this and that. And you kind of and put it on the back burner, and then try dissecting it and trying to find out the truth behind it all, and the real people who lived there and died there, and the true history of the building. And that's where we're at. I mean, and we're always finding out something new. Just when we thought we came to the end, there's light at the end of the tunnel. It just keeps going, man. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So even in season, so how many episodes have y'all done in season 2 so far?
So far, we just released episode 7.
Okay. So that's 20 episodes in one location. I'm like, I don't know how y'all are doing that. I mean, I guess getting different people in there and stuff. How do you make it not so monotonous and not so mundane?
It is. It's different people that come in. It's bringing in different teams, people that work together and have different methods, and we're trying different experiments, and just going down, where their experiences lead. And it's different every night there. I mean, there is some residual activity there that's constant, but I mean, we see, we have theories that the spirits there can move throughout Columbia because there's sightings of similar things at other spots in Columbia. So, it can be different every time you come.
And the amount of history in this location is just unbelievable. I mean, it was built in 1802. It's where the Underground Railroad started in Pennsylvania. You know, huge ties to the Civil War with the burning of the bridge in Columbia, Pennsylvania. That actually shifted the Civil War to Gettysburg, and that
How far is
decision,
Gettysburg from there?
About
an hour,
Okay,
yeah.
not too far.
But just the amount of history, you know, the amount of stories that we're able to tell and uncover is why we're able to do 20 episodes within a year and still feel like we're not even close to the end.
And we'll go off into spots outside the manor that are in Columbia, you know, showing you that, like, when you come to check out the manor, there's all this other stuff that you can check out, you know, in town. And the whole town's got a crazy history and dark past. And it's just, we're just uncovering layers as we go, you
know. So the guys over in England, are they in London? Where are they at? Or
in Chester.
So how long had they been doing the haunted hotel before you guys started doing your show? And you know, I know, Daryl, you kind of told the story, but were they just seeing like good results as far as people reacting to what they were doing, and they were just ready to expand and had the means to do that? Or kind of talk on that a little bit more?
They've been running since 2022, right around the COVID era. And they did really well with the My Haunted Hotel over there. The location's almost 600 years old. It's got Chester alone. The city of Chester has an insane history that goes all the way back to Viking times. It was a Roman city at one point. The Roman walls are still around the actual town. So there's actually Viking. There's a Viking church right across the street from the hotel. There's all this history there. There's actually a Roman Coliseum that's still there. So they built off of all of that, and it worked out really well for them to this very day. It's still working very good for them, and they're able to expand to other locations, and that's the game plan here too. We're going to expand to other locations, but we're still going to keep doing the My Haunted Manor because I don't think that story's ready to end at all. I think it can keep going for several more seasons easily.
For sure.
Yeah, I would add too, they built up such a great community of fans. The fan base that we walked into was such a blessing. They welcomed us with open arms and allowed us to have a platform, a base to start with, and they've just been so welcoming. And they built that over in the UK, the hotel guys, with what they did. And I think this format, allowing people to be a part of the show, these people that investigate are the real stars of it, allows it to build this amazing community that we have. We call it My Haunted Family for a reason. It feels like a family.
Yeah. There's a lot of things you can play off with that. So the owners of the inn here in Columbia, Pennsylvania, I watched the first episode and they seem super cool. Did they ever jump in on any investigations? Are they just excited about it? Has it brought more attention for their location? Just kind of talk about them and what it's done for that location.
It's put a spotlight on that location. I was at that location twice. This is how we kind of walked into it. I was brought in there when I was on Ghost Hunters for some events, and that's how I kind of knew about it. And I kept going back to it, like, what locations can we do here in the States? So when I reached out to Amy and Rowdy about it, they were very open to it. And it's brought a lot of attention to them, a lot of attention to the town of Columbia too. Columbia is doing very well. They're growing. It's a growing little city, and it's got a lot of new revenue coming into that area with all the taverns and the restaurants and everything there. Of course,
they're really building it up.
You guys have photographed it really well. Bridge to some of your other drone shots and stuff. The town looks really cool. Really cool. So they've been the town for the most part has been pretty welcoming for what they're doing.
We first had to join their Chamber of Commerce, which is MAC. Trey and I actually went to a town hall meeting on it was like a Tuesday night, maybe a month after we got there, and the mayor and all the chief of police, all the people from the city were there, and they were so excited about this project and about what we were going to do for the town. And they open arms. I mean, they opened the books for us. I roll out the red carpet, and it's been that way ever since. And the people of the town are amazing. We've got so many, we go everywhere in that town. It's open arms for us, like, hey, here comes the guys from the Manor, So it's a great community, and we couldn't ask for a better location. And yeah, I mean, to answer your question too, Rowdy and Amy are in a lot of episodes. Rowdy probably a little bit more because he's been starting to do voiceover work for us.
Yeah, Rowdy tries to downplay it, but I know he loves the attention. So he's been enjoying it. And yeah, part of the what we try to do is feature a lot of these little mom and pop stores and shops throughout the town. So the whole show is like an advertisement for these towns, these locations that we're working at.
100%.
Yeah, it's I like what you guys are doing. I mean, it's funny because I don't know that I think I heard of My Haunted Hotel maybe a year ago. I was like, what is this about? Because I always said, I only started shooting. I mean, I've been a filmmaker for a long time, but I only started shooting the paranormal stuff about 5 years ago. So, I used to laugh at a lot of ghost hunting shows. My wife and I would laugh at them, and and then I kind of fell into doing it. And then the first one I did was this place in Indiana called Willow's Weep. And I produced a bunch of little short stuff, and they were getting tons of views on YouTube. I was like, man, people really like this stuff. They really like the paranormal. And so when I, got into it 4 or 5 years ago and really started producing some stuff on it, on the paranormal, and telling the history of locations and then getting paranormal evidence to kind of back up that history and stuff, that was really gratifying. But anyways, I remember, or I used to always say, I was like, man, if you could find a really, truly haunted location, now people's definition of haunted varies, obviously, and a lot of people are very skeptical. I'm still kind of skeptical of it, but I used to say, man, if you could just plant cameras in there and just let them roll 24 hours a day, and you charge people whatever, $1, $2 a month, you probably make some good money. I think you guys are this is something similar, and I think My Haunted Hotel, what those guys did over in England, I think is very innovative.
Yeah, and people watch, and people send screen, time code, ways, and people are into it. It's amazing.
That's a next step for us, is getting live camera feeds going.
Yeah,
I was going to ask that. So right now, how often are you guys going to film? I'm sure it varies based off schedules and stuff like that. But how often are y'all actually going to the Manor and shooting new episodes? And then how long does it normally take to film an episode? A couple of days? What?
Yeah, I mean, we're up there every other weekend almost. Okay. We're the main events that we have each month are our core main filming nights. That's where it's the highest energy and everybody's having a great time, and we're all there filming, hoping for something to happen. The private events we have, sometimes we're there. So it depends, and it depends on story threads that we're following in history. So it may not come out the week after you're there. It may come out later. It could be later in the season, or it may not make it. That's another thing. It's just everything. Amazing moments just don't make it into the show. There's just only so much time to get it out. Get an episode done and tell that story, and make sure that the teams are highlighted, and make sure that the history is correct, and we're putting out the right information. So it's a lot that goes into it.
I know it's tough. You're talking about 15 cameras, man. I'm like, when I go and work with paranormal investigators and we're shooting at locations, I mean, I'm shooting 5-6 cameras sometimes, and I'm like, I'm trying to match it up on a timeline, and sometimes you're like rolling for an hour straight, and it's like, dude, I'm sure that I've missed so much evidence because I just cannot sit there and watch every one of those cameras at the that location.
The good thing, we have an app on our phones, so we have all the cameras on our phones, and we get alerts. So if there's an audio alert or motion detected, we'll get that. And with the motion, 9 times out of 10, it's just dust. We're able to check that at any point, and I'm constantly on that app, just scrolling through.
Yeah, we try and scrub through daily, seeing if there's anything, but
that's what I do when I put planted cameras. If it's rolling, like if it leave it overnight at a location, it rolls for like 4 or 5 hours till it dies or whatever. Just throw it up on a timeline, and I'm just looking for audio tracks pretty much, and just scrolling through.
Right, seeing those bumps.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you guys kudos. Again, like I was only able to watch the first episode, but your production value is really good, and I'm really big on production value. And I was really impressed with what you guys are doing.
Appreciate that.
Well, see, it's actually went a whole different level, man. These
season
guys,
2,
they're just getting better and better and better. Like I'm seeing the episodes before they're coming out, and I'm like, holy shit, man! This rivals, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, it rivals Ghost Hunters. A lot of the stuff these guys, and it's just 2 of them. We had a 10-man team sitting in doing all the editing, post.
Yeah.
We had 6 or 7 camera guys and audio people with you, and these guys are right there with them, man. I'm gonna tell you, they really are.
I want to shout Jeff out because season 1, it was all on him. It was all on his shoulders. I didn't really learn any of this stuff. Like, I learned it as we went. And when we first started, we didn't really know what we were doing. We kind of, this is the first time doing something like this. And whatever we shot, we had to use. And Jeff made it work. And season 1 came out so good. But throughout that season, it allowed me to learn it. So I've been doing more post-production stuff with Jeff, helping him out.
Yeah.
But,
dude, it's not
give
for
him
the
a round of applause for what he made.
It's not for the faint of heart, man.
Thanks,
especially to do it on a professional level. I just did a series, not too long. It's a 3-part series I shot in Tennessee. It was a true crime paranormal. I actually worked with the Tennessee Ray Chaser guys, or 2 of those guys, but I did my whole first episode was just on the true crime. It's about this 25-year-old guy. It's called the Westmoreland Horror. It's about this 25-year-old guy back in 2019 who just went crazy and killed his whole family. His mom and his dad, killed a 12-year-old girl and 2 other people. He ended up killing 8 people. It's really bad. Anyways, I ended up doing recreations and dramatizations. I hired some actors. And, I don't have big budgets. I don't have big crews either, but I'm going to do these recreations working on like 4 actors. I'm sitting there, got 3 cameras. I'm sitting there throwing up a mic on everybody. I'm squirting in these recreations. I'm like squirting blood off camera. Making sure stuff's in focus, making sure the mics are it is to do it the right way. And then when you what's up, buddy? And then when you hold on, I got somebody wants to come in. All right, say hey, buddy. This is my assistant right here. He sits in the office with me every day and edits with me. But
I love it.
But I mean, again, just kudos to you guys for understanding that. And because I don't want to dog anybody out, but it's like doing a paranormal investigation, just going out with a cell phone and walking through a graveyard and this and that. I like to tell the story and be more than just the paranormal investigation, which I know that's what you guys are trying to do as well, which I think just amps up not just the production value, but just the story in and of itself too.
Yeah, you get the whole picture. Yeah.
So how important is that for you guys? I mean, you go to a lot of locations. I know you guys been to many other locations, and sometimes it's hard to find the true story of what happened on that location, and it could be folklore, or it could be truth, and newspaper clippings, maybe not. But how I know you mentioned, I think it was Kelsey that helped you guys out with that, but how much is the story, or how important is the story with what you guys are doing?
It's very important. It's everything.
It's evidence that we catch, I think.
It's 90% of it.
I think you start with the history, right? Like you gather
Yeah.
the history and what's the real facts, and then when it comes to investigating, I think a lot of shows, tell these stories off of one piece of evidence, a REM pod hit or something. I think you need repeated evidence that's telling the same thing and different diverse pieces of evidence that are saying the same thing to know that that's really what it is.
Right.
So we wait for that. We wait till we get enough repeating evidence to kind of feature that storyline.
Yeah. So I like to ask a lot of paranormal investigators that I work with too. What, and you guys can answer one at a time, but what, in your opinion and your experiences, what is the most compelling piece of paranormal evidence? I'm not talking about anything specific, but the different methods that you use. What do you guys feel like is the best thing to, I guess, communicate with the spirits or get evidence or try to prove? We can't definitively prove that you're communicating with anything or just because you hear a bang in an old building, this and that, So what kind of evidence do you guys put the most credence in?
Ooh, probably visual and like audible. I mean, these are great, but sometimes, they you misinterpret them and stuff like that.
You talking about? Did you say EVPs?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think like visual evidence, stuff we're capturing in real time on camera, or anything like it's when I say audible, I mean like in real time where you're hearing a voice talking just like we're talking right now, which we have at the Manor, which is great. I mean, it's compelling. It really is. There's something that happened to Trey and Jeff and myself just about 3 weeks ago there that it stopped. You can ask Trey. It stopped dead in my tracks.
I've never seen Daryl's face like that.
What was it, without giving too much away if it's not come out yet?
Well, we had a group of people there. We were doing a charity event, and the night was kind of winding down. And there's probably maybe 10 VIPs that were still left, and they all wanted to investigate with us. So we hadn't had a chance that night to really investigate with them. And it was probably around, 12:30, 1 o'clock at night. And so we said, okay, let's do a session. We didn't think anything was really going to jump off. So we all crowded into this one room called the kids' room. And there's maybe 10 of us, and then the 10 of people, and maybe the 3 of us. And I was doing the old softball, shaving a haircut knock, because it works there a lot. It really does. Not all the time, sometimes. And started getting responses back. I'm like, all right, cool. So give them, try to give them their money's worth, basically. And then Trey and I and a couple other people, we started hearing walking and moving above us on the 3rd floor. We're on the 2nd floor, and it sounded like actually like furniture or something was getting moved or dragged. So Trey and I stepped into the hallway with the staircases and he's the 3rd floor. And at this point, we're thinking there's a person up there, like somebody from the group has broken off and went upstairs. So we were like, hey, who's up there? And like, just a conversation. Hey, come on down, guys. We're down here. And like, we didn't hear anything. And then all of a sudden, I say it again, and something in a full sentence answered me back. And man, I think the last time I actually felt like that was on season 1 on Ghost Hunters. I was on air at cabin 13 when a little girl about 4 o'clock in the morning in my cabin by myself, it's on camera, talked to me, and I stopped dead in my tracks, man. All I heard was a little girl say hello to me, and I froze. Like it's like this like it's like your throat and everything just drops, man. You got like goosebumps, and like I looked at Trey and I dropped the F. I was like, what the fuck was that? Dude, like I froze. Like I didn't want to go up the steps. Like, and that's not me, man.
Yeah.
And Trey back and forth each other, and I'm yelling for Jeff, like, Jeff, get in here, because Jeff had the camera. But we still had static cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
And then the group of people came in, they're hearing the movement and talking. So we go upstairs and there's nobody up there, and we went back and reviewed all the footage. We kind of pinpointed where it was coming from, what room it was coming from, and man, it's stuff like that happen all the time.
Yeah, we caught it. We caught it on camera. The voice.
I would say I'm most blown away by like Ron and Lourdes, like some of these teams that come in. Ron and Lourdes have the digital seance experience.
Yeah, I've done a doc with them up at the haunted the Shanley Hotel
some of the
up in
voices
New York
through that. It's wild, and it's genius. You know, that's a big part of this, is bringing in people that are smarter than us, that are, you know, cutting edge in this field, doing outside the box stuff that we can test at the Manor.
We try to bring in the future of this business, like not the. And I'm not knocking anybody, but everyone uses REM pods and K2s and this and boxes. We want people who are doing something different. It's kind of like something different where we're filming 24/7 for years in one location. These people are doing something different. The digital seance experience with Ron and Lourdes.
Yeah.
Other people we're bringing in to the kind of like Jeff's saying, cutting edge and new technology and things people have not seen before. It's the future of this.
Yeah, this is the place to test it out, because we have a controlled experiment, you know, to a sense, because we are putting out a show where people can see the evidence and then come and say a similar, thing. But it's something to take into consideration. But there's people that I know come in cold. And have, like, Bianca Rose, medium Bianca Rose, comes in, and she does a deprivation tank before she comes and takes notes. And the notes she has are unreal, like the connections to the Manor and its history and what people have been experiencing. Stuff like that, like, is pretty mind blowing.
She picked up on something that I saw, and only the three of us knew what I saw. Plus the three girls that were with me that live in the UK, they didn't even know, they don't know Bianca. So there's no way she would have, known from them.
Right.
And she picked up on exactly what all of us saw that night. And we caught it on camera, season 2. So you have to check it out. It's on there. It'll blow you away.
She described it before it was even in an episode.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just wild.
Yeah, Ron and Lourdes, they're first off, two of the nicest people I think I've ever met in my life. Second off, I did a whole documentary at the Shanley Hotel, and they came for one night, and some of the responses that we were getting from Ron's setup, whatever that setup is, I still don't understand it this day, and I produced a whole talk with it in it.
It's so amazing. And they're basically like what you would do in editing later live, so they're slowing it, they're amplifying it, they're cleaning it up, they're filtering it. It's just, and it's just white noise. There's no radio, no voices should come through. So it's just.
So where did they set up when they did the episode with you guys? Different locations?
Yeah, we tried
the Manor.
We tried it in the parlor, but the best location to have them set up, all night, and we can kind of filter groups through, is the print shop, because that is the least amount of noise contamination throughout the whole building. So it was a good setup for them.
We brought them down the basement though for season 1, and
they can move the speaker around.
The answers that were coming through the what it was, Staticom, it's now the digital seance experience, blew us away. It was picking up on the same exact stuff that we had gotten through multiple, groups of guests and us investigating down there. Just unbelievable.
It's what they captured that night in our basement was the most compelling evidence they've ever captured during their digital seance.
I've never seen Ron explode like that.
Ron went crazy.
I need to watch that episode. They just did a project. So I did a project with J.W. Prather, if you guys have heard of him, where he tries to get people to kind of astral travel, or I shot a whole 6-part series on that, where it's these experiments, and he lays people on cots and blindfolds them and runs all this audio through their headphones, and they're supposed to theoretically come out of their body and travel and go through a door and potentially do an investigation, a paranormal investigation in another location. It's a really neat thing. But anyways, he just did another experiment last couple months, and Ron and Lourdes were part of that experiment. And I'm like, man, that's wild. I should have gone and filmed that. I wasn't able to do that one. But
I think they're doing another one here soon. I think that's what we were just talking to them about, right, boys?
Yeah, they're going to be back soon.
Up in Ohio.
Yeah.
Coming with JW or with you guys?
No, with JW. Like what you were just talking about. I think they're doing it shortly.
Yeah. He texted me the other day. He said they were shooting in August again.
I find that super intriguing, though. I would love to maybe even get that at the Manor and try it.
Yeah,
you know I think it's innovative.
He did it at the Conjuring House. I didn't have anything to do with that, but he did it a couple of years ago. I think before the current owner bought it and things weren't as wild as they are now. But he did it there, I think, and got some pretty crazy results. But yeah, I did a whole 6-part episode. This you can see on Scare Network. It's called Travelers, and it was interesting. It's definitely it's one of those things where just like Ron and Lourdes, this is kind of above my head. I mean, I'm a I'm a filmmaker. I can tell a story, but I still don't even understand everything they were trying to do, and I sit there and produced a whole 6-part series on it.
It's fun.
How much I got that series?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll start backing out of the room, acting like I know what he's talking
Ron.
about.
He loses
Speaking
me.
of their episode, though, I was getting everything ready, prep for Scare Network, and I was doing the closed captioning. And in Premiere Pro, you can actually like click on an audio clip and transcribe it. AI will transcribe it. Yeah. And there's portions of their episode that it's not going to be in the YouTube episode. It'll just be in the Scare Network because it's tied to the closed captioning. But there's voices picked up on Rod and Lourdes, seance experience, and there's transcriptions of what it says, and it ties into what their questions they're asking. It's stuff that we didn't pick up, but the AI, doing the closed captions, basically did it for the spirits too. It was something that I never thought of, testing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Have you guys caught a lot of disembodied voices after the fact? Like you don't hear them in real time. I've actually at the Shanley Hotel, I caught a couple that never even heard in real time, but when I was going through interviews and other stuff, you hear these whispers and it wasn't the person. That to me, that is hardcore paranormal evidence. It's like, where is that voice coming from?
Right.
The amount of kid activity in recent couple weeks. Our last episode that we dropped a few weeks ago, there's a voice of a kid saying hi in the control room that I just stumbled upon while putting the episode together. And it was one of my favorite pieces of evidence I've ever come across in my life. So clear. And it was in direct response to what one of our guests was saying at the time.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's funny because, like I said, one specific one I was talking about, I was interviewing the owner of the Shanley Hotel, and I had asked her a question, and this thing in between her breath said no. So it was like answering the question between what she was saying too. It's really weird.
That ties into their theory of it being consciousness. They know the answer before you're done asking the question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and another thing with the Shanley too, and I don't know, this has happened on a couple of docs that I produced, just depending on the location. But are you guys familiar with like landlines that go across the world and how they kind of tie into the paranormal too?
I never heard that.
Yeah,
you don't know. Supposedly there's all these different lines around the world, and they run through certain locations all over the world, and I think they're horizontal and vertical, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But one directly supposedly runs where the Shanley Hotel is in Napanoch, New York, and I'd just be curious to see if there's a landline near where you guys' location is in Columbia, Pennsylvania.
I have to check that out.
Yeah.
Have you heard of those before, Daryl?
Yeah, ley lines.
Ley lines, I was saying it wrong.
They're supposedly like basically spiritual highways where they travel and horizontally or vertically through different locations. It's a theory. It's a cool theory. Because when you see some of these locations they're actually going through, you're like, okay, get it. Yeah. So it'd be
like Stonehenge is one of them.
What's that?
Stonehenge is one.
Yeah. There's some really famous locations that aren't really necessarily known for paranormal stuff, but just where crazy stuff has happened in the past.
It's odd. Yeah.
I think it comes down to energy, you know.
Well, yeah, and you guys, where the is it Samuel Miller House? Is that what it's called?
Samuel Miller Mansion.
Samuel Miller Mansion. How far is that from the river?
It's right on the river.
Right by. So obviously, you know, there's a big theory in the paranormal too that water's a big conduit to. How much stock do you guys put in that? And with that being so close, do you feel like that plays into the haunting there?
A train track and the river is right next to the manor, all like a half a block,
and then like a giant mountain of quartz.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And we've picked up on, like, we keep an eye on like weather and, you know, stuff like that. And we've noticed that precipitation, you know, when it's raining or storming, seems to be more active at the manor.
Yeah.
And the other thing is there's a lot of synchronicities between us and the hotel over in England, where they're like a block away from a river, and their building even looks like ours, like the old pictures with
noticed
ours with the 3 windows. It's really interesting. So
the Samuel Miller Mansion looks like it could plop down in England, old England, and be right there.
A lot of the town names are the same too, which is weird.
Yeah. So you guys are going a couple times a month, whatever. Do you still get scared or not scared, but do you ever get spooked? Are you still enthusiastic doing every new episode? Kind of talk on that, if you would.
Well, I think we're definitely used to it. We're used to the activity, and there are some times that, you know, when it even catches us off guard, just like I was explaining a little while ago, what happened, you know, a few weeks back. When we were first there, man, the activity was crazy. I mean, it's crazy now. It's even worse now, but I think it was just like constant. And now I think it's to the point where either they're used to us or we're so used to them because we're always we're like family. We come in and they know we're there. Trey's there. Trey's there more than any of us, to be honest. He goes up there for a lot of the privates and things of that nature when we're, you know, Jeff and I can't be there. And the kids, they're very active. Like we capture them all the time in the building on camera when we're not there, when we are there. A lot of times when Trey's leaving the building, you'll hear the kids all of a sudden start acting up when he's gone on camera, running around and yelling and saying things.
Singing.
Singing. It's all.
And people are hearing it. It's direct.
Yeah. Which is really cool.
I don't think there's been an episode without a kid's voice in it.
So you guys say kids and stuff. Have there been built in 1802? Gosh, no, that's what, 223 years old now. Have there been many documented kids deaths or just deaths in general in that location?
We only have one presumed for sure, but we think that there could be multiple. There's definitely multiple kid spirits there, but one I think we're 9 or 10-year-old that we believe, Mary McKissick. It was a family that lived there. So we've been using that name and getting responses to that. And then also Samuel Schock lived there for 40 years, died there, confirmed, had his funeral there. So those 2 names, you know, are ones we, you know, will lean into on investigations.
And this is all information that you know, no one really knew about before we started there, which is a credit to the format and what we're doing. What we're trying to do is tell the true story. You know, this guy lived there for 40 years, died there, had his funeral there, and we feature that and we pay our respects to him. You know, and
he's buried right up the
It's
street.
just really cool. I think.
Really. Yeah. What year did the couple that currently owns it? What year did they buy it? You guys know?
2017.
27. So before that, what was it like? Who owned it? Daryl, I know you said you had been there. I think maybe for Ghost Hunters.
Yeah.
What
owners that are there now? My first time there was in 2020.
Okay.
And then again in 2022, I believe it was, or 2023. Yeah, they've owned it the entire time that I've been going there. I don't
Yeah.
know.
They bought it from a print shop. That was fun.
So it was
like,
a business in there.
Yeah.
Before.
But before the print shop,
Mhm.
it was vacant. The whole place was vacant, abandoned for 10 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. Not that I've heard of every supposed haunted location in the United States, but I get hit up a lot by, people giving me leads and stuff on locations and stories and this and that. I'd never even heard of this place, but like I said,
yeah.
I found it because they reached out to me. I live like an hour and a half, hour 40 minutes from it, and I'd never heard of it until they reached out to me back in 2020. So yeah, I mean, it's not a well-known location. Great for us, to get on the map. So yeah, it's getting notoriety, and a lot of people are coming there. A lot of people from the UK, from all the way from California, and Texas, and Canada are traveling to come see this location, and it's because we're putting it out there. And
that's cool.
Yeah.
You think people in the UK are just making special trips just because you guys are?
Yeah,
they're big fans of the hotel.
Yeah,
and those fans welcomed us in like day one.
Yeah,
and they've just been amazing. So yeah, there's definitely been a couple groups that come over. Some have come multiple times.
Yeah, I think with our clientele, I think our UK clientele is probably about 15% of our clientele in that building. So that's a lot of UK coming up.
Yeah, that's awesome. So are the boys over in the UK? Are they still pumped with what you guys are doing? Show by show, or
yeah. So they just finished their Amazon Prime series, basically taking their three or four seasons and compiling it into like a more digestible 10-part docuseries, which we want to eventually do. Danny's going to come over and help film the Manor, just a more compact story,
Yeah.
So like a retelling, and maybe reshoot it, like a Sony FX or something.
Yeah. What are y'all What are you shooting on? Not your planted cameras, but like when you get your interviews and B-roll and stuff like that.
Interviews are Panasonic GH5s, and we have a Canon AX70 for night vision.
Yeah.
And then just like an Osmo Pocket, just kind of run and gun on the fly interviews. We make it work with not much.
I want to shout out Landon and Josh. They do like a lot of our drone stuff, and they've been our number one guest, our biggest supporter since we started this.
Yeah.
And they help us so much with drone stuff and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I shoot on Sonys for the most. I used to be I actually still have some Panasonic cameras. I don't use them that much anymore, but I shoot on the FX9 and FS7 and A7Ss and stuff.
Great.
Yeah.
We gotta get you up there, man. Let's get you up to the Manor.
Well, I don't know what I could do that y'all hadn't already done. It's like what angle could we take to?
We put a camera on a cat for crying out loud.
To make it different.
Yeah, we do have a spooky cam.
Yeah. So the Manor came with a cat, like it just was living there. So they, taking care of it. Her name's Spooky, and we put a camera on her collar, an Insta 360 clip on, and she runs around and does a little investigation for an hour, and then we try and find her and get the camera back.
That's funny.
But she's caught some stuff. It's crazy.
Have the owners, when I go and profile a location or shoot at a certain location, especially one that's not like an abandoned asylum or something like that, that's still an active location where owners, rent out and do whatever. Have the owners seen a bump in people or investigators or whoever wanting to come in and rent out when you guys aren't filming during off times and stuff? Have they seen a bump in popularity and people want to come in and rent and maybe do investigations on their own and this and that? Talk on that.
Sure. You want to talk on that, Trey?
Yeah, absolutely. Like we've been saying, people from all over the country, overseas are coming here, and we opened it up to do other things, photo shoots, Music videos have been shot there. So there's definitely been an uptick, and I think it's only growing. We're only getting bigger and more known. So I think they've been, pleased and excited with where everything's going, for sure.
Yeah, that's good for them, because that's like, that's my biggest hope. Again, when I produce something, is for it to get just a little bit of notoriety, just to kind of help that, that owners out, if need be, from a financial standpoint. People just going and bumping up the popularity and stuff.
That's the goal, is to bring people in to experience it firsthand, because videos the place is deceptively bigger than you think, and it's just.
How many square feet is it?
Roughly.
Yeah.
I think it's around 19 to 20,000 square feet, somewhere in there.
It's that big? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's huge, then.
Yeah. Basement, attic,
3 stories.
Yeah.
3 stories.
And it's like longer. It's
like the Winchester Mystery House. It just keeps going. There's different rooms that you don't know about.
Has it ever been a hotel like back in the 1800s or early mid 1900s that you guys?
Possibly apartment buildings.
Yeah.
Separate apartments, but I don't think a standalone hotel. I think early days, there's notation of portions of it being like a blacksmith shop, a tavern, a brothel, but we just don't know how, like what portions and what was there, because when it was a feed mill, there's more that was built onto it. There were rooms that were sealed off. There's a room in the basement that's completely sealed that we've been trying to uncover. Underground railroad tunnel that we're trying to uncover.
Yeah.
You ain't gotten in the room yet.
Bodies in the basement. Yeah.
So you probably find some skeletons in there if y'all.
Yeah. we did a ground penetrating radar scan down there and picked up some anomalies that the guy thought could potentially be graves. That we went as far as digging down 4 feet, since he said it was down 3 or 4 feet. But we're still looking into other ways, cadaver dogs, things we can try and pinpoint. But where he picked up anomalies were right where equipment was going off. We were getting voices like, dig, I'm down here. It's like
Brown and Lourdes. It said furnace. It was right in front of the furnace.
Yeah,
all of our equipment, everything was pointing right there.
Yeah, Lourdes is like, if they started digging, what would they find? It's like a body, a person,
a woman.
Yeah, crazy.
I'll just add too to the partnership that we have with Rowdy and Amy. This doesn't work without them, and how great they've been. And a lot of what we're doing and what we're bringing in is going into restoration of the building. We're repurposing the bricks and fixing the building up. We're adding electric up on the 2nd and 3rd floor. Eventually going to have AC and heating up there. So it's just been fantastic, and couldn't ask for better owners of the building to partner with.
And our people behind the scenes too. Like I can remember, ESGI, they come out and they do all our bigger events for us. Gina and Andy and all those guys. You got Kelsey and Diana behind the scenes. You have God, the list goes on and on. It's just there's so many people who do stuff behind the scenes like a lot of people don't get to see on the show. I mean, every once in a while you will see them, and Josh and Landon, they're amazing. They do a lot of drone work and other camera work for us too as well.
They're just there. They're just always there to help. That's what we need. We need passionate people.
Takes a village.
Yeah. I know. So you said you've already released 7 episodes in season 2. How many episodes do y'all plan on releasing this season? And have they all been shot yet, or you just kind of playing it by ear?
I think the majority of everything has been shot. We're still laying out the last couple episodes.
Yeah.
It's there's never going to be the end. It's just going to be continuing the story and the research. But we always want to tie it up some. Well, season 1 we ended with a huge cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So we're trying not to end with a cliffhanger, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I think maybe 10 or 11, maybe 12. We did a 1 year in, answering fan questions. So we could do something like that and recap season 2.
Yeah.
But it's still up in the air a little bit. But I want to start getting season 2 prepped and over to you guys. Soon.
Yeah. I'm grateful and thank you, Daryl, for reaching out to have it on the Scare Network. I really appreciate it. And y'all mentioned earlier about other potential locations kind of branching out. I know you're not giving up on the Samuel Miller house or matching, but is that just talk right now, or how serious are y'all about that?
Well, we're very serious about it. It's just logistics. To be honest.
Yeah.
You'll get into, like, we were in a 6 to 8 month long conversation with the location just recently, and the logistics at the very end just didn't work, unfortunately. And there's other locations that have been reaching out. It's just, you kind of have to put on the table, all the things we went through in the last year and a half, 2 years to them. Be like, hey guys, this is what you're looking at, and this is where we got to be when we walk in the door. And a lot of people aren't ready for that. They think it's show up, you set up shop, and you're ready to roll. It's not like that. We were literally in the Samuel Miller mansion 4 months before we opened the doors, filming. And we were working on it for a couple months before that. So, it's a lot of logistics behind it. And right when comes, it'll come. And that's the thing.
It'll happen eventually. For sure.
There's a lot of places that are, like state owned, or it's like those. It needs to be like a private owner, that we can partner with. It's rare. It's hard to find the right setup.
It's got to feel right.
I know. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of variables involved and a lot of things, like you said, Daryl, have to kind of fall in place for something like that to happen.
Yeah.
Because
clean their places haunted, and then
that's haunted. Too. I mean, it's an investment on everybody's part.
I know.
Ours on location. We put a lot of money into this project, and then we're still paying, and we're still and we're starting to get to the point where it's getting better. But the first year on a project like this, 6 months to a year, people got to understand it's growing. It's got growing pains, getting your sea legs and things of that nature. And but now I think we're getting to the point where we were figuring out this part of the business, or we know the mistakes we made in the last year and a half, and try not to make them again.
Using the Manor as like a template,
Yeah. So just kind of tell anybody who may be interested in exactly how it works, as far as, like, let's say if there's a group that lives in Illinois or whatever, and they've seen the show and they want to go and kind of be a part of it. Just kind of explain how that works and what they would do, and how is there a limit on the amount of people? Just kind of talk on that, if you would.
Yeah. So all you got to do is go to myhauntedproject.org. That's going to have all your locations under the project. So you got the UK ones, and then you got us. That'll take you to our site, where if you go to book now, it'll show you all of our public events. So that's the one event a month, things that we do where the three of us are there, and we bring on special guests. So that's for like people that are more new to it, that want to kind of dip their toes into the paranormal investigation stuff and figuring it out. But if you want to do a private investigation, all you have to do is email myhauntedmanor@gmail.com. We offer 3 different tiers. So for up to 5 people, it's $400. Up to 10, it's $700, and then up to 15, it's $900. So you can have up to 15 people. Yep, for a private investigation. The place is yours. There might be one of us or someone on our team just monitoring the cameras, but the whole place is yours to investigate overnight.
Yeah, spots in the building. 10 or spots, so people can sleep on, in other places.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Do you guys, like, when you're doing kind of the overnights, do you just sleep there, or and people sleep there? Or?
Yeah.
Some people leave at whatever point, but we do offer cots in case they want to lay down. I know it gets exhausting, so there's cots there if you want to lay down. You can put them wherever you want, and
the parlor is usually the most comfortable in like the extreme weather, so kind of all bunk in the parlor sometimes.
Does it snow? Does it snow a lot up there in the winter?
Yeah.
Does it?
The control room gets real rank. It's hot. I mean,
I'm sure
we have
it's hot
fans
now.
running, but we really need AC up there. That'd be nice.
Like I said, I mean that's the goal. Is to get AC up there.
There's no AC at all in anywhere in the
downstairs.
Just not upstairs.
The first floor and the basement stay comfortable pretty much, and then the second and third floor can get pretty damn cold or hot, depending on the season.
Maybe like 106 degrees. I couldn't imagine that.
So we probably answered this, but just you guys being there so much and shooting so much and this and that, what is the one spot or one location within the Samuel Miller mansion that, in your opinion, is, I hate to use the word haunted, but has the most activity, maybe makes you feel a little bit more uncomfortable than other places?
I think the servants' quarters.
Yeah.
Really?
For me.
What floor is that on?
Blue room, servants' quarters, that transition. It's like a lot of things moving in and out of there.
Yeah, from kids' room, blue room to servants' quarters, those three rooms. Yeah, they're probably the most. The kids' room, I don't feel uncomfortable if we get a lot of activity in there, but the blue room and the servants' quarters can get a little uncomfortable. Yeah.
That's where we've had the most insane activity and things captured on camera.
We brought in a haunted object as well this season, and it lives in the servants' quarters in a coffin.
Yeah.
People can check it out. But there's two back rooms in the servants' quarters that we can't really let the guests investigate. It's kind of more decrepit back there. But I think that area is probably where it's the most active and scariest. Hopefully, eventually we can fix that up a little bit to have guests go back there. But
I'm gonna have to come out there and we'll do a little cross shoot. I'll bring my wife up there.
Man, that'd be great.
I've taken her to two locations. Well, the Shanley was one, Shanley Hotel, and then there was this castle we investigated in upstate New York. Oh, in Auburn, New York, actually where Harriet Tubman was born. She was born in Auburn, New York, and she died there. She's buried there. Speaking of the Underground Railroad, but we we did a 2-part series on this castle there that this guy from Ireland or somewhere, he built it back in like 1870, and it's the first time I'd ever taken my wife to any type of location to shoot, and some crazy stuff happened there, and she wasn't really a believer before that, but it started calling her name out and mocking her. It was really weird. So we'll have to go up there. It's got to cool down some though. Man, it's too hot. I was down in Florida shooting week 4 last, and I about died between the heat and the mosquitoes.
It's rough.
And there's that heat wave going across the whole United States right now.
Yeah.
So I don't think I could do it without the air conditioning. But speaking of other locations, quick, if you guys have any stories of any other locations minus the Samuel Miller house that you feel like has been super active, super haunted, crazy things have happened to you, made you uncomfortable. Any other specific locations that come to mind for any of you guys?
Fort Delaware. It's not in Columbia, but it's just one of my favorite spots. And every October, Diamond State Ghost Investigators does tours. You have to take a ferry ride out to this little island off the coast of Delaware, and it's this old Civil War fort.
Yeah.
It's like a bucket list. You guys, it's something you guys check out. I don't think many people even know it exists.
Yeah, I've never heard of it. So
it's absolutely amazing. And I've seen the best things I've ever seen there.
Really?
Fort Delaware places, it's mind blowing the first time you ever go there. It really is. It just takes you back. Like when you go there at night, especially because you're taking a boat for like a 20-minute boat ride. to an island. Get on the island, and all of a sudden there's this giant fort that's surrounded by a moat.
Wow. Have y'all ever produced anything there?
Yeah, so Trey and I came from that group. We're still, technically members of the group, and we would go there. Every summer we would spend the night there one night, and we filmed some, like a docuseries for them about the fort, and I think Daryl, saw that docuseries and what kind of, got him talking to us about, that, thinking that we could pull this off.
Yeah.
Yep. Somebody said, anybody going to Doll Island? Isn't that in Mexico?
I want to go.
I've heard of it. Have you gone there?
Yeah.
What, Doll Island? No.
Yeah.
How about the House of Wills? You want to hit on that?
Oh yeah, House of Wills. I mean, that's probably one of the darkest places I've ever investigated in Cleveland. That's the one I wrote the book about. Yeah, House of Wills. It's not well known, and I think for a lot of reasons it's not well known because a lot of people don't want to go there because of just how bad it can be. But that's the only place that I've ever went to where I almost actually quit investigating altogether. It put a ringer on me, man. I was messed up for a good couple months after I left there. Something had followed me home. I never had that happen to me before. And it made me rethink if I wanted to do this or not. And that was 10 years ago now. But it's something.
What's it called?
The House of Wills.
And it's in Cleveland. I've shot a ton of stuff in Ohio, man. I don't know what it is about that state, but there's just some crazy stuff in Ohio.
I think the three of us might be going back there.
Yeah,
Daryl's first time back.
Possibility of we're thinking about going back and filming some stuff and
hit me up maybe and
go
up there with you guys or something. What's the history on that? I've never even heard of it before.
It's there's a long history. It was second degree Mason back in built. He was an architect in the Cleveland area back in the mid 1800s to late 1800s before he passed. And so it was a Masonic temple. It was a German social club, a Hebrew hospital, and then it became, just after World War II, Cleveland's largest African American funeral home, all the way up to 2002, I believe it was, or one, when it shut its doors because of fraud and embezzlement and things of that nature. It sat vacant for about 10, 12 years. And a gentleman named Eric Freeman came in and bought the location in 2011 or 2012. And if anybody, and this is all well known, this is documented. Eric is he worships Satan. He's a Satan worshiper, and he brought a lot of his rituals into the building. And it got really dark really fast. Yeah. So it's when you're combining all that, and Eric and I, we're friends. We talk, and I respect him, and he just has a different view of the world than we do. I follow Jesus. Not the other way around.
Yeah.
But like I said, I have respect for him and what he does, and he's been very. When the book came out, I had to give. When I was writing the book, I had to get permission from him to write it, of course, because his name was in it, building, and he was very open to it. And I didn't bash him or anything, and I think that's why him and I get along. And I actually met him for the first time where I actually sat down with him in Cleveland 2 years ago. I had a book signing, and he showed up to the book signing, and we sat down. We talked for about 4 or 5 hours, man. It was really cool.
Oh, wow. So he owns the location?
Yeah, he owns the location, yeah.
And is it just abandoned now? He just allows people to go investigate? Oh, it's not abandoned?
He's been trying to turn it into a community center or an art exhibit type place. he does a lot of artwork, like a lot of very dark art stuff. And,
Yeah.
Wanted to open it up to artists to display their work there and things of that nature. So yeah, he's been working on trying to bring the building back to its original grandeur, which is it's a huge building. Which, I mean, it's probably every bit of 35,000 square feet. So it's
Yeah,
a
that is
location.
massive.
It's got a whole cathedral in the middle of it when you walk
Yeah.
in. Martin Luther King actually did a speech there during the like when we were in the building. We actually found posters and flyers, Martin Luther King posters and flyers from when he was
Wow,
still in
that's
the building.
cool.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, location's crazy. But it's got a very dark history. A lot of people passed away there.
Well, if it was a funeral home too,
Yeah,
for a long time.
even as of the last few years, yeah, there's people have been murdered in the building through gang violence.
Yeah.
It's East Cleveland.
Oh well.
My haunted house of Wills. I don't know why we didn't think of this before.
I might have to skip that one if unless somebody's packing. No.
Yeah,
right.
I'll see with a camera.
Wear the right colors. I highly recommend that book though, or the House of Wills, Daryl's book. Great read and some crazy stories in there, man.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, well, re-released, and we have possibly we're all going to be writing 2 more books, the 3 of us.
Y'all got enough stories to do that.
Yeah, so
that's cool.
It's probably we're going to kind of lead in the book's getting re-released, the second generation of it, and it's getting some new chapters and stuff put in it, but then it's going into we're going to probably hit on My Haunted Manor as a book.
Yeah. So real quick, I don't want to keep you guys too long, but what and I'm not asking you to speak for the guys in England either, but you mentioned scientific research and the paranormal and stuff. Kind of break that down in layman's terms as to what is your end goal with this location, with producing these shows. What are you guys trying to get those interested in the paranormal or the paranormal community to understand? Like, what are you trying to do exactly with this show, this location, and this experiment?
I think, and I don't speak for everybody. I think I'm speaking for the 3 of us right now. It's a business for us. And we're also on the film side of it. We're trying to bring eyes to the location or locations in the future. But we have basically a map of how we want this to run and keep going into the future, even with this location and other locations that are going to come along eventually. And it's just to kind of bring in awareness on our end. We just want to do it right as far as the paranormal, investigating and getting the history. And in my opinion too, like I think this show's more. It's not just paranormal; it's a history show. Half of the show is about history, and then the other paranormal that comes with that history that we capture in the building with the general public. We're more backdrop, if anything. So that's my opinion on the direction it's going and what we want out of it.
If we can use that history to identify any of the spirits that are there, if we can put a name to the kids or put a name to, this woman that people are seeing, or, any answers that we can find through this format, just it'd be amazing. It would be groundbreaking. And that's what.
Yeah, we're building a culture and we're setting a standard for paranormal investigation for the future, and that's my goal, is to change that culture and that standard, and have this long-term investigation format be the way of it. That leads the way, and that's how you tell a true story and tell if a place is actually haunted or not.
So I have a philosophy, and I mean, I think any legitimate filmmaker who produces any type of paranormal, whether it be short film or documentary or series or whatever it may be, is kind kind of along the same lines of what you guys are doing and have said. It's like, you know, you try to tell the history of that location the best you can with interviews, and then you get stories from other people who had been there when you weren't there, and then you get the paranormal evidence that hopefully backs up some of that stuff. And for me, you know, when I put a paranormal doc, and I know that you guys face the same thing, it's like, dude, I'm not trying to convince anybody if ghosts are real or if the paranormal actually exists. I'm just presenting the evidence that we happen to gather along with the history and this and that, and try to tell a good story the best I can and put it out there and try to entertain people. I'm pretty sure that's you guys are same.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
We want to get the history right. We want to tell the right story, you know, take fact from myth. And, you know, we're looking at local legends and things, you know, things that the town have been saying for 200 years, and seeing if we can put any factual, you know, evidence to that. And
it's crazy that building is that old. That building is almost 225 years old. So there's obviously, it's probably bukus of years. Obviously, you just don't know the history, and you'll never know it. You know, as I know that y'all done extensive research on it. I think it's cool what you guys are doing. I think. Go ahead. She just want to know what you guys' favorite.
Zoom recorder, just doing live audio. We do that a lot.
You you just record and they're really quiet, or
we'll take it on you know, investigation. I have headphones in, or Trey's wearing it, and we could just hear, you know, the crystal clear ambient audio, and you can make marks on it, and you know, it's an interesting way to for live, you know, audio like that.
I like a GS2 laser grid. We use that a lot.
Yeah.
Do you get results from that?
Yeah, we've seen some crazy stuff. I don't think we've gotten anything too crazy with that at the Manor yet, but I've seen it at Fort Delaware. Some amazing things. And even if nothing's getting caught on the grid, it has a temperature gauge on the actual device. So you see, you know, something cold walking in front of it. We've had some really cool results with that.
We like an EDI. Things that have multiple measurements, you know, anything that has some kind of scientific measurement that we can, you know, show results, and, you know, after a baseline, you know, that's it's more than just something lighting up or beeping.
Something that can be manipulated by your radio waves or your text messages, that nature. You really, I mean, I don't knock it. We write whatever they want when they're investigating there, but we lean toward the stuff that cannot be manipulated, like an ED, things of that nature.
And even like we've had some really great, you know, Estes method sessions, but even, you know, going under and using spirit boxes, sometimes it's really hard to discern what's radio bleed through versus what's a, you know, a real voice coming through. So it's kind of hard with that, but we've had some cool stuff with that. For sure.
Yeah, spirit box. I mean, you have to kind of take it with a grain of salt. I mean, if there's direct answers coming back to your questions and stuff, I think there's more obviously legitimacy versus just random words throwing them up there and stuff. But to me, I think if you're in a controlled environment, and I'm not talking about like out in the woods or near a highway or something, but just an EVP. Just in my experience, it's like, how can you, if everybody's really quiet, nobody's moving, you just have a recorder, you're asking questions, and then you get a voice back on playback, it's like, how do you explain that? To me, that's the most unexplainable. Now, a lot of stuff you throw out, obviously, but when you get a somewhat clear voice, I'm not talking about a disembodied, I'm just talking about the direct voice, and then if it even answer your question is a bonus on top of that, and it relates to the location you're at. I don't know how you explain that.
I can't.
We
want to.
That's definitely the best. Any audio or visual.
This format is going to up our odds to hopefully find an answer to that, you know, being in this place for years. But hopefully we could find that in our lifetime, you know, some kind of answer.
I know, it's like, man, where is that voice coming from?
I mean, there's theories that it's dimensions overlapping for just a second, and you're just seeing or hearing somebody that is there, but in another dimension. And it's just that veil was just crossed for a second.
Them, so
right, we're the ghost of them.
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about Bigfoot?
He's out there. He's out there.
It's not our wheelhouse.
I know. I'm just
Columbia
curious.
supposedly got one, so if you're into Bigfoot, come on out.
What's it called? It's like a different name.
When I was down in Florida, I was shooting in the Everglades. I was skunk ape hunting down there. That's Florida's Bigfoot.
Yeah.
I actually interviewed the guy. God, what's his name? Drawing a blank now, but he caught some really famous skunk ape footage back in 2000. He's been on all the big shows. His footage is probably the most famous skunk ape footage of all. Super nice guy. He's got a skunk ape museum there. No, this guy. What is his name? I think it's Dave Shealy. Dave Shealy. If you look up Dave, like on YouTube or anything, look up Dave Shealy skunk ape footage. I mean, it's like, actually, History Channel just did a show on him a few weeks ago, with these guys. Nice. I was down there python hunting and doing all kinds of crazy. And then I went to Daryl. You know that guy Eric Vanderlane? I think you maybe done his podcast.
I've heard of that name.
I did his podcast last week. He out of Fort Lauderdale, lives in Miami. Anyways, I shot a couple paranormal docs with him while I was down there.
About was it Wolfpack?
No, what's the name of his group? War Paranormal.
Yeah. I'm sorry, War Party.
War Party. Yeah.
War Party. Yeah. Eric. Yeah, I've done his podcast 2 or 3 times, and they were at the Bash with us last summer when Trey and I were there. Yeah.
Oh, in Gettysburg.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I shot 2. We shot. He met me at one location on an island down there, and we stayed like 3 o'clock in the morning. Then I met him in Miami, and we shot at this haunted rail yard. We actually got some really good evidence at that rail yard, but that was just a couple of weeks ago, so I hadn't even thought about putting those things together yet. But what about UFOs? You guys into those?
I'm into all of it. I'm down for all of it.
Yeah. UFOs, ghosts, Bigfoot.
It's all
lit.
Yeah. It's all like an genre. So.
Yeah. Well,
I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah. I'm gonna jump off, but thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate it. Thank you again for giving the ScareNetwork a chance with putting the season 1 up there. I appreciate it. I hope we can get some eyes on it, and keep us updated on season 2. And everybody check out season 1 of My Haunted Manor USA on ScareNetwork and on their YouTube channel as well, and support them. And if anybody's interested in that area, go check the Samuel Miller mansion out. And guys, let's stay in touch and maybe try to
thank you, man.
Try to team up and do something, man. We can do something good.
Yeah, maybe we can put something together, man.
Looking forward to it.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
All right. I got an idea.
All right, fellas. Well, y'all have a good night. Have a good week. And I appreciate you taking time to talk to us. And we'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks everybody.
Thanks for having us, man.
All right. All right. Y'all have a good one.
Have a good one, brother.
Later. Cool. Thanks, Trey. I appreciate it.